Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the Do Deals Show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this call with us today, Scott.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. Just to, any of you guys have heard of Scott before? Know who Scott is? Peter, you know him? Yeah, okay, yeah. So Scott runs an ad agency, Google ads, Facebook ads, for a lot of investors for their home buying business, as well as real estate gurus for their coaching business. Peter Vexman was here at the last mastermind, and Peter shared with me that Scott has been running his traffic for a long time, comes highly recommended, and so that's when I reach out to Scott.
I see Peter's ad everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere, right? So this is the man responsible for all the ads that Peter has. So we have Larry Goins. We have Rock Shakur out of Atlanta, Jason Rodriguez out of New Jersey, Doug Ottersberg out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, Alex Neem here in Houston, and then Peter Conti over here.
Hi, Scott.
Couple other guys must step out, probably use the restroom, be right back. So yeah, awesome. I wanted Scott to interview Scott today because Scott, has a really strong background in what's working right now in terms of cold traffic, pay advertising, what kind of offers he sees converting, what kind of cost per lead, those type of things. So thank you so much, Scott, for doing this video conference with me.
I'll do my best.
Awesome. So why don't we start out? If you can just share with us, what do you see working out there right now?
So that's a pretty broad question. I'll do my best.
Okay.
And it's good to see a lot of familiar faces and put some faces to some people who I know of but haven't really met yet. So as far as what's working, are the guys in the room there mostly interested in the info side of the business, or is there also an interest in the getting sellers, getting buyers, getting tenants, getting property management clients, getting private capital? I mean, is it?
So the answer is both.
Both.
Okay.
The info first. So start with the info first, and then we'll go to the real estate one.
Okay, sure. So I don't know exactly what to assume about your working knowledge with the different platforms out there. So just a quick kind of basics. You mentioned Peter Vexman. So Peter Vexman is a little unusual in what we're doing with him because his campaign is entirely run on Google AdWords. And in fact, I've tried to talk him into using Facebook for a long time, and he had a bad experience a while back and just isn't willing to go back to it. So the difference, though, the key difference to keep in mind is with AdWords, you're basically trying to get in front of people who are actively seeking information or solutions to their problems. And so by the same token, with doing campaigns for motivated sellers, AdWords is a lot better as far as the platform goes than Facebook is, because people are taking the initiative. They're taking the first step. They're sitting down at Google and they're typing something in the search bar, right? Whereas on Facebook, and this is true on the info side as well as the real estate side, you're just interrupting them as they go about their business. And so your response is going to be better in AdWords. No matter whether you're in info or it's anything else under the sun. So the downside with AdWords is that it's really expensive. In fact, it's always been, it's kind of consistently gotten more expensive year after year. On the real estate side, though, it's shot up this year. The cost per click in AdWords in the past 6 to 9 months for a lot of the main bulk of keywords, particularly in the real estate space, the cost per click has gone up 20, 30, 40, even 50% in some markets. And that's just a function of competition because it's an auction model. The more advertisers in a particular space going after particular keywords, the higher the cost per click goes up. And then what that means for you is you've got to stay up with them if you want to have a high position on the search page. And if you don't have in really the top 3 positions, you're just gone because of the way they reshuffled the search results page, which means your cost per lead is going to be a lot higher than it was even a year ago. So AdWords is fantastic if you're selling something that people are actually looking for. So, Larry, I've come across your advertising a lot over the years, mostly through affiliate marketing, I guess. But knowing a little bit about what you do, I think you could go after people who were trying to learn how to wholesale, right? Because that tends to be more of a beginner, someone who's probably interested in that whole, let's buy cheap houses kind of model. That's appealing to them. And there are a million different things you could go after like that. Someone a little more advanced, like let's say, I don't know, Jason Medley from Collective Genius. Right. So for that group, which is he's just decided he only wants to work with people who have, quite a few transactions every year. So maybe he's going after people who are looking for commercial property insurance policies. I mean, I'm just making this up now, but you try to get in front of people whose search queries indicate that they are a good fit for you. So anyway, I'll stop there about AdWords, except for one last thing. And this is even if you're using Facebook for your main marketing channel. Google has its own retargeting or remarketing network that's really good. And again, super basics here, but the retargeting are those ads that follow you around the internet. So you go to, Tim, I guess you have a page for your mastermind somewhere. And so if you're marketing that, people hit the page. Even if they come from Facebook, they hit the landing page, and you can put Google retargeting code on there too. And then so that when they go to CNN or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or ESPN or whatever, then your ads follow them around. You stay top of mind, and it's great branding. The click-through rates are never going to be that high, but it's great branding so that when they get your next email or your next postcard or whatever, I think they're more likely to take action. So that's AdWords. I could stop here for questions, or we could go straight into Facebook if you want.
Hold on real quick. Alex has a question.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Hi, Alex.
Yes. Hey, Scott. Yeah, quick question. Is this specifically the search side of Google and not the content network?
Yeah.
Okay. So also,
yeah.
Are you seeing any disparity or any arbitrage opportunities, say, on when you mean AdWords? Does that extend to YouTube or specifically only Google AdWords?
Well, so everything I've been talking about now is just search marketing. So that's really all that's been in my mind and all I've been referring to.
Okay.
I mean, the remarketing campaigns run through the display network, but yeah, I was just talking about search marketing, and so there are opportunities in YouTube and in the display network overall. We work with the precious metal dealer who plasters his ads all over every website imaginable that deals with gold or silver or precious metal investing. Right? I mean, you can do site targeting. So it's again, you're kind of you're losing the real benefit of AdWords if you do that, though, right? because people aren't actively sitting down, typing in, how to wholesale houses. They're just hanging out, reading the latest, prices on gold bullion or something.
Right. So before you move on to Facebook, what are you seeing in terms of cost per lead on Google for the info business right now?
So that again, that's hard to generalize. I mean, other than to say it's more than it was last year. But
or do you have a range of some kind? Like, is it? And we're not even talking about retargeting, just like front end, search.
Yeah. Okay. So if you think about different offers, I'd say it's probably a formula that includes the keywords you're going after and the kind of offer that you're presenting. And I'm just going to assume you've got decent ads and you've got a decent landing page.
Right.
There is there's a direct correlation between, the cost of keywords. All keywords have different costs. I'm just going to make something up to illustrate it, but how to wholesale houses keywords actually cost less than how to flip houses, or how to, or how about this one? Atlanta, Georgia hard money lenders, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because those keywords are perceived to have different value. And one way to think about it is commercial intent versus just information seeking. Mm-hmm. And so the closer you get to commercial intent, which is like buying intent or taking action, then the more expensive the keywords are. Okay. But all that said, the offer is also a key element. You've got different kinds of offers. You've got your standard, let's just call it like a free ebook or a free video series or a free something, and you don't require much information, maybe just name and email, maybe just email. If you do all that, your cost per lead is going to be lower than if you require more information. Like there are campaigns where they purposely have long forms to weed out just the tire kickers, right? But that means their cost per lead is going to be higher. To go back to the campaigns I'm aware of, though, on Google, a decently qualified, let's just say an intro-level coaching student, your cost per lead right now, from what we're seeing, is somewhere between $40 and $70.
Wow.
Yeah, and as you lower that bar down to somebody who is, a rank beginner who may not have a dime but is in that information seeking phase, then that cost per lead can come way, way, way down. So it just all depends on how you're qualifying them, exactly what keywords you're going after. And I'll just give you a little example. What we found in the coaching space in particular is that keywords like how to wholesale houses are much, much cheaper. You can get cheap leads, like less than $10 in AdWords for a lead that's searching that sort of thing. But if we go to something like somebody who's searching for trying to research, like a fortune builders program, this is someone who is already of the mindset that they are interested in coaching or mentoring or a more advanced kind of support. Those leads are going to be a lot more expensive because we're not the only ones to figure out that somebody searching fortune builders has that in mind. And so your cost per lead is going to be a lot higher, but it's for a reason, because that's a much better, much more qualified prospect.
Right. Okay. So we should all bid for people who search for Larry Goins coaching programs.
Well,
yeah, it's very expensive.
All right, awesome. All right, let's move to Facebook. You were sharing earlier.
Yeah, and it is true that searching for the gurus like Larry is quite often a very good way to find people who are a little more sophisticated, a little more advanced, because they know the names of some of these players in the industry already, and So not only gurus, but names of programs. Anyway, but yeah, so on to Facebook. So Facebook is really interesting, and again, I have no idea how much you guys know about it, but here are just some of the ways you can actually target people on Facebook. So like Google, you can go by location, and that can be, I mean, obviously country, city, zip code, radius from an area. It's not quite as exact as Google is, but it's decent. It's pretty good. You can do demographics, so age, gender, education, income, net worth. I'm a little bit skeptical of the net worth one, but it's there. Interests. So I'll just tell you that, you know, for any kind of coaching or real estate related info product, one of your main interests is going to be bigger pockets, because somebody in the phase where they're learning about real estate and they're interested in real estate, that's you know, that those are the people who have the bigger pockets interest, right? And you can, it's not just bigger pockets. Imagine, you know, other ones. Think of the reality shows, you know, the house flipping reality shows and whatnot. And that's also, it's not just communities and websites like Bigger Pockets. You know, that's an interest in, again, in gurus. We've done really well. You've got to actually have a pretty big following for Facebook to have you as an interest category. But for those who do, like I think Van Merrill does, I think Clothier does, those are really good interests to go after. Anyway, I could go on and on, but interests, behaviors. This is really interesting, and this gets a little complex, but you know, this could be anything like whether they just bought a new car. What mobile device they have. I mean, what, you know, is it iPhone or Android? They've got some really cool things that we actually use on the real estate side that are predictive of whether they're going to move in the near future. You can do whether they're a homeowner. They've got one that I don't have enough data to know how accurate it is or how effective it is, but they've even got one all about investing. And I think the categories are something like, I think it's some range of how likely they are to invest in the near future. And Facebook doesn't differentiate investing in real estate with investing in Wall Street, but nonetheless, it's a decent thing to go after, to test. Okay, and so then the last two things that I think everybody kind of knows about, but they've had some changes recently that I should share with you guys. So first is custom audiences, and that's so Tim can take his database of all the buyers he's ever had for his products, and he can upload it to Facebook, and Facebook will match it against their known profiles, and that's called a custom audience, and Tim can target those people with ads, and this can get as complicated as you want. I mean, like if you use Infusionsoft, plus this has a really nice feature where as people opt in to your website or into your funnels, it will automatically update your custom audiences. And as people kind of move through the steps of the funnel, it'll update which ads they see. So there's some really cool things out there with custom audiences. But here's the thing, one thing I really want you guys to know. It's that you used to have to have an email address to create a custom audience, and you do not have to have email addresses anymore. In fact, one of the big things we've been doing lately for the real estate guys is we're taking their direct mail lists and we're uploading those in Facebook, and we're matching their direct mail list, people they're sending postcards to, and creating custom audiences from that. And you know, it varies what your match rate's going to be on a mail, like the kind of list you buy from a list broker. But it's probably higher than you think it is. It's what are we seeing lately? Like 60, 70, 75% match rate on a typical direct mail list. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a side note here. That is a natural thing to do if you're spending any money on direct mail. Okay. Other things you can do for customers.
Hold on real
Yeah.
quick, Scott. Jason has a question.
Yeah. So can you explain that a little bit more? So we're doing a direct mail. What are you saying we do? So this custom audience, it will start to target Facebook ads about.
Yeah. So the question is, he wasn't clear on how you use the custom audience with the direct mail list.
Okay, so let me just explain again. So for your direct mail list, you've probably got name, street address, city, state, zip code, right? I mean, that's your basic kind of list. You can take that same spreadsheet that you give to your mailing house, and you just upload it in Facebook, and Facebook has a matching engine in their database, and they take that information, and in fact, we've even done it without name, and then that doesn't work so well. But you take whatever information you have, you upload it into Facebook. Facebook comes back and says, hey, we were able to match 58% of all the contacts on the list that you just uploaded, which means basically that they can match up this information you provided with a known Facebook profile. Yeah. And this is interesting because it's a pretty good use of ad spend. You know, unlike something like IP targeting, which is kind of a little too arcane to get into, but basically it means like beaming ads directly into a household's IP address, which is another interesting thing. We could talk about that later. But unlike that, you're just beaming things into a house. Or like with retargeting, retargeting, it isn't always cross-device compatible. So you get cookied on your desktop, and next time you're browsing on your mobile phone, the retargeting is not working. And that's changing a little bit. But with the custom audience based on your own list that you're already mailing to, they only see those ads when that person is logged into Facebook. When they are on and active, they're on their device, they're looking at their timeline, that's when they see their ads. So it's pretty efficient form of advertising.
Hold on real quick, Scott.
So I guess that's fantastic. But what are the real results coming from that? Buying houses, is it a 1% bump?
Tim, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so how has the results been, how effective has the results been with that kind of custom audience?
So it's all relative, right? But as opposed to the other kind of targeting I was talking about, whether it's demographic or behavioral targeting or location targeting on Facebook, this kind of custom audience targeting responds 2 to 4 times better. In other words, if your cost per lead with, let's just say with demographic, behavioral, and location targeting is, I don't know, let's just say $30. Probably your cost per lead and with a custom audience based on a list. And by the way, it needs to be a pretty good list, right? So, but based on a decent list, your cost per lead is probably going to be more like $10.
Wow.
So it's much better just because it's, you're already doing the pre-filtering at the point you uploaded the direct mail list. And again, that's assuming you've got a good list.
Right.
So
it used to be that you need a list of at least 100,000. Is that still the case to do the custom audience?
No. Tim, you may be confusing that a little bit with lookalike audiences.
Oh, okay, yeah.
different thing.
Yeah.
But even that number is not 100,000. But no, I'm trying to think the smallest number. You know what? We created a custom audience recently for this guy based on his LinkedIn contacts, and I think it was 400 people, 400 or 500 people. I mean, it was really a small number of people, and that made sense for him. But anyway, no, you can do a very low number. I mean, I don't know what the minimum is, but it's pretty low.
Right. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
And so we mentioned lookalike audiences just real quick. I personally don't have a lot of faith in lookalike audiences, but the concept is interesting. So let's just say you've got a group of people and they've done something, they've bought something in the past from you, and let's say you've got 2,000 people or 5,000 people who have bought something or opted in or something. Or maybe you even buy the list. And anyway, you can load that up into Facebook and you can create a lookalike audience. And Facebook and all its magic says, well, okay, we found an additional 10,000 or 20,000 people who are like those people. And again, you definitely need to test that kind of carefully because it's, I haven't had great luck with it. So probably depends on how good the original list is.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool.
Oh, there's so much more to say about Facebook. How much time do we have here, Tim?
Well, let me see. We are 2:32 right now. Would you be let's go. Can you go for 8 more minutes?
Yeah, I can go for 8 more minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so there is one thing I definitely wanted to tell people about because it's not that well known and it's really low hanging fruit on Facebook. Let me set it up this way. When you go in, you create a Facebook ad. Facebook asks you what your objective is. And so, for example, you could say, like if Larry wants to drive people to a webinar that he's hosting, he's going to be driving people to a webinar registration page, right? So that's what Facebook calls a website conversion. It's an external funnel page, whatever, that you're sending traffic to through your ad, and that's great, and that's been probably the bread and butter of what most people do in the direct marketing space, anyway. And there's a lot we can say about that, but I'm going to skip over to another thing you can do with Facebook ads. And that's this thing called lead ads, which is a very different model. And here's the thing. Here's the thing to know about lead ads. Facebook acknowledges that anytime you switch platforms, like you leave Facebook and you go somewhere else, that, well, for one thing, they're losing. You broke out of their cage, right? And you're gone now. They don't like that. But they've also acknowledged, I believe, that from a marketing perspective, whenever somebody hops over to a different domain or something, you're going to lose a certain amount of people there. The environment changes. So what they've done is they actually allow you to collect the leads directly on Facebook with these things called lead ads. And basically the way it works is, let's say you can't do webinar signups, but let's say you've got a free report. And you're pushing it out on Facebook. It's a free report on seven ways to make twice as much money as a wholesaler. Mm-hmm. So you click a little button that says "Give me the report," and right then when you click it, this form appears right on Facebook. Facebook pre-populates some of it based on what they already know about you because you're logged in, and you fill out the rest. You can customize it to a point, but not too far. I think you can add 3 custom questions to it. For example, you could say, how many properties did you wholesale in the past year, or you could say, how long have you been invested? I mean, well, you could come up with some custom questions. But anyway, what I guess the bottom line here is the cost per lead with lead ads is significantly less than any kind of website conversion. Even with a great landing page, a great funnel, your cost per lead is going to be much less with a lead ad.
Like example,
So
the lead ad is $50. This is
No, it's just like, for example, because we actually did that for our preview events. So like it typically costs us like $20 for a preview event registration. With lead form, it was like $3.
Lead form.
Well, the lead ad he's talking about, it's like $3. But the challenge that we had was, like getting a hold of them, right? So we have someone call them. Getting a hold of them was the tough one.
it's almost too easy, Tim. It's almost too easy to fill out the form.
Yeah.
So yeah, is your quality going to be as high? No, it's not. So it's like anything in direct marketing, it's a numbers game. And the only thing I'll say about it, Tim, you probably had to figure this out on your own. Facebook does not really make it easy to get the leads into your CRM. You've got to go through something like Zapier, some kind of API connection to drop it into Podio or Infusionsoft or whatever. Because what does not, and you've got to figure that out, because what doesn't work is to go in periodically and like pull all the leads out on a CSV or something. That because your only hope with lead ads is to jump on with a really great email follow-up sequence. Because that's cold, that's impulsive, cold traffic. So the follow-up is going to make or break you on that. But cost per lead is pretty appealing.
Awesome. Any other questions you guys have for Scott? Yeah.
So, Scott, I know I missed the first couple minutes. The first intro, but you were saying that somebody, I don't know if you mentioned by name or just in generic, but somebody was having trouble with Facebook, and that's why you decided to switch them more over to AdWords, or just in general, you find that AdWords ROI better. I know there's.
Oh, I know what he's. Peter had some trouble with Facebook, so he didn't want to do Facebook. He just wanted to do Google only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a corollary to that question. We've done a lot more Facebook, and now we're just getting ramped up more on AdWords and YouTube. But what I kept consistently seeing and talking to a lot of guys with agencies is that Facebook seems to have like an upper, and it's not that high, quite honestly. There seems to be a much lower limit. Like you tend to hit a ceiling a lot faster when you scale, and it doesn't seem to be the case with AdWords. Is that the case? Is that your experience? Like stuff that works on a small scale with Facebook, if you try to scale, it starts getting really wonky. That's what we notice.
I think so. AdWords has an absolute limit to scaling because it is absolutely limited by the number of available searches. Right.
Right.
We're running a PPC campaign in a small Texas town right now, trying to find motivated sellers, and we cannot get more than 20 ad impressions a day because there is no traffic. Right. So there's a natural and absolute limit in AdWords. Right. In Facebook, I find that it's more a case of you wear out your targeting.
Right.
After a certain point, right? That poor bigger pockets interest target. They are getting worn out, and so after a while, they've seen your ad how many times it's done. So. To scale on Facebook, I think, Alex, you've got to just work it. You've got to play around with the different kinds of targeting, demographic and behavior targeting, interest targeting, and you've got to have offers that have broad appeal too. You've got to really try to open things up, knowing that at some point in your funnel you're going to have to narrow them back down and filter people out, right?
Sure.
But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it not only do things get inefficient when you start to scale, but also on Facebook, things wear out faster. Much you could almost run the same ad in AdWords for years if it's doing okay, and it'll keep doing okay. But Facebook things just wear out. Can I close with something though on that topic of
Yeah.
engagement and increasing the shelf life of an ad? The one thing I'd leave you guys with is, and this is true for whether you're advertising for info or coaching or real estate or hard money or anything, and that is to use video in your ad. Video response rates are in almost every single case going to be much better than an image ad, and they don't wear out as quickly. And you can do some interesting things with video ads that you can't do with images. For example, you can segment out people who watch, a third or a half or all of your video, and you can set up retargeting segments that are specific to that as kind of a proxy of how engaged they were. There's some really cool things you can do with video, but above all, much more engaging, lasts longer without getting worn out, and they've got the transcription thing that's a pretty cool element. I recommend using your own transcription though, which you can get at rev.com or something. But video is the way to really improve the performance of a Facebook ad campaign.
Gotcha. Awesome. How long should a video ad be?
1 to 2 minutes, just depending on that. I wouldn't go much longer than 2 minutes though.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. All right, yeah, Scott, thank you so much, buddy. It was super, super awesome, very informative. I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
How do we get in touch with you is the question.
Well, you've got all my info, Tim.
Okay. So I'll send you info out to the guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That'd be fine.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much. Have a good time.
Thank you. All right. See ya.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.